Turns out the LIV Golf really has finally managed to shake the PGA Tour to its core. We know the times over there are desperate because desperate measures, folks, have been called for. Guess who's taken the torch into his hands? Tiger Woods. To be fair though, it wasn't all that unexpected. So let's talk about what's cooking in the golf world and where Chef Woods fits in. First up, Tiger Woods had a meeting. When it came to trying to keep the players from joining the Rebel League, career threats, job insecurity, and even the loss of a nice retirement plan didn't work. This, of course, is because money talks. But what we didn't know was that Tiger Woods talks right back. Right from the early days when the Saudi-backed Rebel League was still a very new thing, Woods was as opposed to the idea as a man can be. Back in those days, players and experts and everyone else, to be honest, were underestimating how big this thing could get. And look where we are now. The legendary golfer himself has had to roll up his sleeves to try and get this mess figured out. At the BMW Championship in Delaware, Tiger showed up despite the fact he wasn't playing. He flew all the way to Delaware only to have this conference. All the top players who are still on the tour were invited to the conference. Even Ricky Fowler attended it, though he also isn't playing. The purpose of this meeting was to basically just get things under control, since lately, too many big names have left and are allegedly planning to leave the tour. A player who attended the over 3-hour-long discussion said all they talked about was uniting all the top players. Woods is the best person to do this because, for one thing, he's pretty much the GOAT, and for another, he has a lot of influence, and these players look up to him. At this point, as Patrick Cantlay joked, he's the commissioner of the PGA. In other words, he isn't the step commissioner, he's the commissioner that stepped up. Next, let's see why he's against the LIV Golf. Okay, so at this point, the first thing we think of when we think about the criticisms of the LIV Golf is Saudi money. Now, to be honest, that's a pretty big deal in itself, and Tiger has talked about how he dislikes it, but that's not it. The source of the money isn't the only thing that has driven him to the point of campaigning to bring the PGAers to one page. He also thinks it's bad for the sport and the players. The PGA loyalists say that the Saudi-backed league's harming golf by introducing new formats that are a lot different than what PGA's built in the past decades. It's more money for less golf. And Woods spoke specifically about the players as well at his press conference after this year's British Open. First of all, he doesn't approve of the defectors. In other news, the floor's made out of floor. But he also thinks that these golfers have destroyed their careers by joining LIV Golf. Now, wait just a minute, Mr. Woods. How exactly are $100 million a career-destroying move? Well, folks, they've had to sacrifice a lot for those millions, including the official World Golf Rankings. We also know that they're banned from the PGA events. But if the LIV remains unrecognized by the OWGR, the defective players might never be able to play in a major, like ever. So this is what bothers and also baffles the golf legend. The fact that these players will miss out on a lot because they don't have an incentive to practice. Their game will suffer. But will his meeting change anything? Listen, from what it looks like on the surface, a conference about staying true to the PGA Tour in these times might not be it, we fear. Like, you have to see what the other side is fighting for. The real reason these golfers have joined Norman's ranks is the money and also the flexible structures. The PGA schedules are notoriously tight, and fine, players like Woods and McIlroy and many others, in fact, see it as real golf, but we have to be serious about this. So many of the defectors, like Koepka, have said before that the LIV schedules are more player-friendly. From a career standpoint, what they've done is understandable. Then again, it might just be from a money standpoint, because from the looks of it, their careers might not expand all that much. The right thing to do here would be for the PGA to see where they're short and make up for those things, because otherwise, they're just going to lose more names. But hey, never underestimate the words of a leader. Decades ago, all the players said no to Norman's suggestions only because Arnold Palmer did so too. Tiger's words might have the same effect on the top 20 players he talked to, at least. Because when Tiger says, "A day may come when the courage of PGA fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship, but it is not this day, an hour of LIVs and scattered fields, when the age of traditional golf comes crashing down, but it is not this day." The top ones listen. No promises about the others, though. And what happens if more players leave? We have to consider that even if the LIV defectors get cut off from all those major events, they will have dollar bills to wipe their tears with. So it isn't hard to believe that many players might still leave the tour. Greg Norman has said quite a few times that they're looking to expand the reach of their league. And if there's one thing we know about this man, it's that he doesn't rest. And if things keep going his way, at least when it comes to luring them in, the power of star players on his side will make his league mightier than Jay Monahan could imagine. Like, come on, if LIV has a lot of major winners and star names on their side, how long can they be kept from playing the mainstream events? Considering all the sponsors, businesses, and fan interest is tied to the big names, not long. The PGA will be pressured into compromising with its rival. When you think about it, this could be the very reason Tiger Woods is trying to only make the top players stick together. Because if there's anything this war depends on right now, it's those stars of the the game, or they could just make peace and merge, but let's be real, that ain't happening. So who've they got so far? Say what you will about the LIV League, but they did get their hands on some pretty influential players. Things started when Phil Mickelson joined Norman's league after calling the Saudis some pretty offensive things. Then we had players like Dustin Johnson and Bryson DeChambeau accepting millions and picking the LIV League. See the pattern here? All past major champions and big names. Oh, and how can we forget the iconic shift of Brooks Koepka, who went from heavily criticizing the Saudi-backed breakaway league and those who joined it to suddenly changing his opinion, learned a thing or two from Master Mickelson. Patrick Reed also followed him into the new league. More recently, it was Bubba Watson, who said bye-bye to the PGA. Mark Leishman is also rumored to leave, and now the biggest fish, Cameron Smith. Smith is currently ranked world number 2 and is said to have already joined the rival circuit, but the announcement hasn't been made officially. He also wasn't at Tiger's meeting because he opted out of the BMW Championship on the grounds of a hip injury. Listen, if they get him, it will be a big deal. Norman will get another star on his side, and Monahan will lose one of the very best current players. Lastly, let's weigh where PGA's at. You don't take down a decades-old organization in a day, all right? The PGA seems to be quite nervous, but Monahan has assured everyone that they're very confident. Truth be told, their confidence is justified, especially when it comes to legal battles. We saw that the LIV players sued them to be allowed to play in the recent FedEx Cup, and the judge sided with the tour. Unlike what Norman said, it's obvious that the tour definitely has a legal leg to stand on. You can ask why they're sanctioning these players for simply playing in another league, but then you'd be citing the deep magic to those who were there when it was written. See, their rules clearly state it's not allowed for golfers to play somewhere else without a release. On the other hand, Commissioner Monahan's also sure they'll be cleared from the DOJ investigation they're under. To sum it all up, the one thing the PGA is scared of is losing more players, and Tiger Woods has entered the chat to say no more. That's a wrap for this video. Where do you think this golf feud is heading? And is Tiger's meeting going to change anything at all? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.